As for the keynote, now we proceed to Dr. Anna Maria Vella. She's a founding member of Dar Hosea, also the clinical chair at Sedqa, National Agency for Dependencies, and has been working in the field of addictions for the past 28 years.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Honorable Parliamentary Secretary 𝘚𝘶𝘷𝘪𝘏𝘏𝘕𝘠𝑗𝑐, distinguished guests, our invites, ladies and gentlemen. May I start by thanking you all for coming to this conference, thus not showing only your interest, but most of all, your support towards vulnerable women in danger of being trafficked and prostituted. I was tasked to speak about what we know about sexually exploited women in Malta. Who are they? What led to their exploitation? Through my nearly 30 years' experience of working with women using substances who often end up in prostitution, I will try to answer these questions and describe the local scene. But please, first, let me ask you to remember that Malta is a very small island. Any story or reference can make people easily recognized. Therefore, I ask the media here present and everybody else to be able to treat the situations mentioned not as sensational news, but as a very difficult circumstance where people have been deeply hurt. May their history, their life story, be the reason why we choose legislation and policy. Who, therefore, are the women who end up in prostitution? No, it's not Sharon Stone. Many try to portray pretty women as if it's the life story of many people. They have made us believe that prostitution is a glamorous life where women can enjoy caviar and champagne freely and daily. We often hope for this Prince Charming to come along and will save us all. It doesn't happen. Locally, the glamorization of Strada Stretta in Valletta, that was famous for prostitution, is another example of glamorization. I have known patients who, as children, roamed the streets of Strada Stretta. They were the children of barmaids and pimps of the time. They never talk of glamour, neither fun nor laughter. They talk about fighting, alcohol, hunger, dangers, and neglect. Life was not fun, but misery and pain. They often feared about their parents' life, who they were seeing engaged in different brawls and fightings. They are used to blood and to hunger. They often miss school because their parents slept in the morning and didn't wake them up. It is a far reality from what is being portrayed today. People who end up in prostitution are usually women who have known a lot of sexual abuse, who have poor family ties, who are deprived and crave for a home and to have a little bit of peace and to be able to live with their children. They are usually women who have long been cheated and who have learned not to trust, nor to love anybody, because more heartache comes along. Many of these people have problems to admit about their prostitution. They have no problem to admit they have problems with drugs, but are very difficult to admit that they have been in prostitution. At the first opportunity, they usually try to leave the streets. And once they take that opportunity, misery ends. I have never met women who long for the streets or who have spoken about beautiful experiences while they were there. They never speak about their Prince Charming, and nobody of that sort ever crosses their path. They speak about heartache, abuse, violence, fear, hunger, and pain. They all seek to numb all this by taking drugs and alcohol. And therefore I believe that Malta should never legislate so that this misery and this miserable life becomes legally acceptable. We should never allow all this pain to become lawful. We should never empower women to endure the suffering. Normalizing prostitution by calling it a profession or work is definitely a great disservice to these vulnerable women. We cannot allow the defenseless to be treated this way. Women need to find opportunities, to find proper work. I remember when one of our clients turned up at my office to show me her new uniform, just a polo shirt with an emblem and jeans. But she had a new job. She was a cleaner now. She told me that she used to earn in one day what she's now going to earn in 1 week. But now she has a real job that gave her dignity and pride. And now the money will not go for crime, neither for drugs, but for her real needs. And this leads me to the reason why Dar Hosea was established. Working with substance-using women highlighted the need that women in prostitution had nowhere to go, especially if they daily resorted to drugs and alcohol. Talking with these women clearly evidenced that we needed a drop-in center that would accept them at the lowest threshold. In February 2013, 10 years ago, I met with a group of dreamers, and we talked about the need of this drop-in center. I had been thinking about it for some 13 years, but never found the opportunity nor the right people to work with. People from the government were afraid to start this service. It had to be an NGO. But there was no structure or right NGO that shared my thoughts. But finally, in 2013, a small group joined me, and we received our first grant. In November 13, we rented our first small house. We managed to find volunteers to open 3 times a week for 4 hours. At first, we had 3 women who never failed to attend. They were so happy to attend in their new home. But they refused to spread the word, as they considered the place theirs and were jealous to share it with others. But then we started our outreach work in prison, in the substance misuse outpatients unit, in parishes, with probation officers, social workers. On the 4th of December, we moved to our present home, and the numbers kept growing. Since then, we have seen about 300 different women over the years, and new cases have become a weekly norm, not to say a daily norm. To date, we are still the only NGO in Malta that works with women in prostitution. The name Hosea comes from the Old Testament prophet. Hosea was called by God to love the harlot Gomer and give her back her former dignity. That is our dream, and that is our profession and our aim. We at Dar Hosea try to do the same. We try to give these women their dignity back. It was always there, but it was taken away from them. We do not ask questions, and we do not ask them to change their lifestyle. It may seem strange, but at that point, usually, they are too tired to tell us all about their heartache. So we invite women to drop by and offer them food, clothes, shelter, but most of all, love. Everything is given for free, and nothing is expected back. Sometimes we get stolen. Sometimes we are ill-treated. But most of the times, we feel so blessed watching the women survive and grow and exit. We are always reminding ourselves that it's okay to feel used sometimes and forgotten. With time, these women usually soften up and become very appreciative of our work. We consider ourselves to be an extended family to these women. Many volunteers tell me that on the first day that a new client comes and we offer them usually a cup of coffee, astonishment is immediately noticed when they realize that finally something is going to be given to them for free. They are used to paying dearly for everything. Even for a piece of bread, they need to endure violence and exploitation. With time, they ask for further help. Sometimes it's housing, contact with their children, medical checkups, and treatment and legal advice, being accompanied in court, dental issues, and so on. I must say that at Dar Hosea we have been blessed with many professional volunteers, and Providence has never failed us. But even if these women continue to hit the streets, we still offer our advice, our support, and sometimes even condoms, because we care for their health and well-being. In any moment of their life, they will be never judged or condemned. What has been amazing are the stories of the women who have left prostitution. We have had different success stories with women at Dar Hosea. What we consider successful is not just leaving the streets. But for me, successful is when a woman starts having some hope in life. Sometimes it's just a flicker, not even a flame, but something to look forward to. When they feel they are human, when they are not just objects to be used and thrown away. That is success. We are not an exit program, but just a safe space for these women who manage to turn up on our doorstep. Even turning up on our doorstep is a success. Women sometimes just drop by Dar Hosea for coffee or for clothes or for a quick shower. Everything is given on demand without any ties attached, and we expect nothing back, not even their progress. They can come, shower, eat, and leave, even without saying a word. They may opt not to give us any information about themselves. Whatever they wish and wherever they are, Dar Hosea is next to them to support them. Our social workers keep in touch with all who have come even once to Dar Hosea. Whenever they call, the clients feel very happy, and they say, "Nobody calls me to see how I am or if I need anything." Actually, nobody cares for them. But we at Dar Hosea do care for them, and we remind them that they are important to us. We invite them for different activities. We go to the beach, we have a picnic together. We call them when they have good clothes that fit them or their children. They come willingly at Christmas time to collect their hamper full of food and gifts. We receive a lot of donations from different entities and individuals just to pamper our women, and they love the donations. Even those who have left the streets are working regularly take time off just to visit Dar Hosea, their family. At this time of year, for example, we are helping mothers to prepare their children for school and buy whatever is needed so that the children can proudly attend school and be no different from their classmates. At Dar Hosea, we believe that prostitution is a deep-rooted form of violence. A few years back, we were part of a study that sought to discover the reasons why women end up in prostitution. Was it to pay for the drugs? Was it because it is a lucrative job? Was it a choice? The answer was none of the above. Women end up in prostitution because someday in their life, somebody sexually abused them. There is nearly always a story of sexual abuse in the family or outside, of rape. All forms of violence are involved in prostitution, be it sexual, physical, economic, symbolic, or institutional. They all harm our victims. Violence is incompatible with the dignity of persons, and through legislation of prostitution, sexual abuse and rape become permissible economic transactions. All this violence and trauma leads to mental health problems, and therefore we say, how can a person who has been sexually abused and suffers mental health issues make a free choice? How can we empower these women to continue to suffer violence and trauma? How can we be at peace with ourselves, knowing that we are not doing anything to stop the violence? And therefore, to conclude, I would like to underline a few points. Number one, prostitution is never a question of free choice, but a consequence of terrible life events. Number two, women readily leave prostitution if given the right alternatives. Three, vulnerable women who have been sexually exploited or who have mental health problems should be protected. And finally, giving back the lost dignity to women who have gone through terrible life events is the way forward to help women who end up in prostitution. Thank you.